because it's about techniques today and getting more out of your dyes, especially those cover dyes, because let's face it, they cost a lot of money and we want to really get the most out of them if we can. I thought I'd start with the big kahunas. The one I want to play with today out of the layered dyes is the floral one here, which is stunning. Like I said, it's an older dye. There's plate A and B. It's probably easier to see in the picture, and you can lay them together, but I think they actually look they look beautiful on their own. One way to sort of stretch these dyes up a little bit, I'm just going to do, this is one of the reasons I want to do this one first, is because I want to add a little bit of paint here and give it a little bit of a chance to dry before I die cut it. But I need to kind of work out where my pattern's going to be. I find that it helps if I hold the, because I want to put the paint in the right spot, because basically there's 2 flowers here and some leaves. So I just want it to be roughly in the right spot. It doesn't have to be perfect. So if you can see, this is where the flower is going to be. And I'm literally just putting some colour down. I'm trying not to overthink it. How can green be too greeny? That might be better. Add a bit of darker here. Oh, look at me go. I'm adding like direct from the pan. I don't like to do that. I usually like to work off the this here. Needs a bit darker, because watercolors will dry lighter. Okay. And that is the original layered. I'm not really sure whether to go with the gold on the top or not. I've done it. See what I said? It actually doesn't look too bad without even the top layer. It's really pretty. And you saw how little time I spent on that watercolouring. But I've done it, and then I've put like a black cover on it, but I thought it might be nice to do, might help if I put it the correct way around. But that might be nice with the gold. I do like this version of dye from Altenew, where they don't cut the edge, but they actually deboss, and you can do a lot of different techniques with these too, but the main thing they're going to do is just put the impression, like a dotted impression on a piece of paper, and this one, and it debosses, so it actually puts it into the paper. And this is the dotted swirls and the dotted tile. One thing of note is when you've got a big die and you are putting it through your die cutting machine, one thing you can do is to stop that. You know how it cracks and makes a lot of noises, and is actually put your die on an angle on the plate. And then you can, it won't be feel quite so it won't be quite so noisy. Typically, this is exactly how I'd use this die. Such a beautiful pattern, and this is just like tone on tone. So one thing I thought to amp this particular die up a little bit is to do some blending, and you could do the blending now, but I actually prefer to do the blending before. So we're doing the same again. So I want to get it straight. So this is the dotted tile debossing cover die. Now, one of the good things about cover dies is that you can still keep your cards very clean and simple. So how cool is that? It is hard to see. I'll try and get, when I make it into a card and take a photo, hopefully be able to see it a little bit better. Oh, classic. I just have to find the die. Does anyone remember this one? Beautiful Altenew die. This is called Dainty Blooms. It's an old die. But what I thought I'd share with you with this die is that it's, and the technique I want to do with this one is inlay die cutting technique. So this is, nothing I'm doing here today is rocket science, is it? You know, we've all done it before. So what I thought with this die is, obviously I could inlay it as it is, which is awesome. What I thought is you can have a look at your dies, create a pattern within. Basically, if you've got like a pattern die like this one here, you can choose the portion that you want to use. So, I mean, it's up to you however much you want to inlay die cut, coloured each piece. But you can also do it with coloured cardstock, which is my plan for this particular one. This is getting a bit blunt, my blade. It's probably going to be easy just to cut it. Anyway, so I've added some little dots, and this is a matte medium to the back of the cover die, the adapted cover die. Can adhere that directly to the front of my card. So you can see that I've laid coloured cardstock. It's been cut with the same die within there. I've added a little bit of glue. I just use liquid glue, and then I can just come in and inlay the die cuts. And I didn't waste a lot of cardstock because I literally just cut the portions that I needed. Basically, if you've got a cover die, you can make it into your own stencil. I have this one that I've made. I actually had already made it, but this is this die cut into a stencil, and this is a stencil product that I have, but I can't find it. But basically, you could use, the other thing I thought would be really easy to use is could just cut it out of something like this Masking Magic, which is a really good product. It's a low tack masking, sheets of masking paper. So they're the size of this. So you can easily cut out one of your cover dies and make it into your own stencil. But if you've just used normal cardstock, a good idea is to actually layer up your cardstock so you can get a little bit of width. So I would probably layer up 3 or 4. Just use your cheap cardstock. Don't waste your good stuff if you're just going to use it as a stencil. And I would layer it up about 3 or 4 times before I came in and added the embossing paste. Just reveal. It's pretty, isn't it? This is just some iridescent, like a Prismaglitter. So really fine, and I'm just literally going to add a little bit over the top of the embossing paste, and that'll just add a bit of sparkle to the design. deboss with the die. So the ones I've used, if you've got, oh gosh, sorry about the glare, you know, this would look amazing debossed. This die would look amazing debossed. There is just so many options. The one thing you will need for this is either a tan or rubber mat, silicone mat they're called as well, and that basically stops the die from cutting. So on a Big Shot, you'll have to check out the sandwich that you have for your machine in particular. It's tab 1, a base plate, then it's the die with the cutting side facing up. It's really easy to do this technique. And it looks good on coloured cardstock and white. And then the cardstock, the rubber mat, because that's going to stop that from cutting. And then top plate. So I can just roll that through. There shouldn't be a lot of pressure because we're just embossing and not cutting. Can you see that? What it's done is created the impression into the cardstock. Now, this is a similar technique. Did you know that you can stamp with your dies? So if you've got a cover die with a pattern that you like, you can actually deboss and add ink with the debossing. I'm going to use pink, just so hopefully you'll be able to see it. And basically, you just tap the ink pad so that it's touching the cutting portions of the... It's not going to be perfect, and it particularly won't be because I'm doing it live. That doesn't matter. The idea that matters. The foam pads make it a little bit harder. Now, this is where I shift it. I try not to. See, I did touch the ink pad too much to the things, I didn't mean to touch it on the thing, on the plate. Get my words together. That was originally my first idea. The second was the debossing dies, so dies kind of as they're intended. So that was the just on the white cardstock, but then the blended version as well. Then the inlay die cutting idea, but adapting the die just to inlay die cut a portion of a die rather than do the whole lot, or you could have the whole die cut out and then only inlay a section of it as well. So I'm really looking forward to making this card, so keep an eye out for that one. The next technique was to create your own stencils, but took it a step further and added embossing paste with glitter on top. And then technique number 5 was to deboss a cover die. And you can do this on coloured cardstock. You can even do it on design paper. That would look really good too, as a nice subtle background. And the last one is one of my favourites to do, is to deboss and add ink. Obviously a little bit needed in that, but you watch me go, I'll do something. I'll make something and we'll share it with you